In this video, I'm going to be walking through an extremely powerful AI sales system that you can use within your business to double or even triple your outbound cold calling efforts. What we're essentially going to be doing is we're going to be taking a list of leads that are either already in your CRM or generated through some external data source like ZoomInfo, Apollo, or LinkedIn Sales Navigator. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be enriching the lead with a click of a button. And what's going to happen then is the AI is going to conduct deep research into the company's LinkedIn posts over the past 90 days. We're then going to go ahead and use ChatGPT to generate a highly relevant cold call opening line. And what's going to happen then is it's going to send the custom script to our CRM. So as soon as we enrich the lead, it populates with a custom sales script for you to use. So gone are the days where you have a list of prospects to call or you have some target accounts and you don't know anything about those leads going into the call. I'm going to be showing you a system that you can set up within your business using AI that generates highly relevant, highly detailed insights within the click of a button that's going to help you improve your conversion rate. What I'll do now is I'll pull up my screen and run through a quick demo of how the system works, and then we're going to dive into how to build it step by step. So I've gone ahead and created an example CRM just for the purposes of this video, and we're going to be using Airtable to set this up. Now, obviously within your business, you can use any CRM you like, but I'm going to show you the exact workflow of how the system works and how to actually set this up. So you can see here, I've got a list of example companies, and these companies that I've just found through LinkedIn through the purposes of this video. And so we've got their contact information here and their company website and LinkedIn URL. And what we can then do is come over to here and just click enrich lead. And what that's going to do is that's going to go over to our automation software. The AI is going to go ahead and research the lead for us. It's going to go ahead and produce a personalized insight based on the research. And it's going to send over a calling script that we can literally just open in here in order to actually go ahead and call the lead. So if I just go ahead and click on the first one here to show you how it works, I'm just going to go ahead and click enrich lead. And what that's going to do is if we go over to our automation software, this is going to trigger this automation here that's actually coming from our CRM software. It's then going to use Perplexity AI to conduct deep research into the lead and scrape its LinkedIn profile to find relevant information relative to our business. What we're then going to do is we're going to take that researched information, we're going to plug that into a ChatGPT module, and we've crafted a very intelligent, very clever module here that's going to go ahead and create us a one-line personalization that we can use within the cold call script. What we're then going to do is we're going to plug that one-liner into our actual script that we've actually generated from a B2B cold calling template. And once that introduction line is actually generated, what we're then going to do is we're going to come over to here. We're going to update the custom script relative to that prospect. And what that's going to do is that's going to go back over to our CRM and it's going to insert the script for us to actually use for that prospect. So if I come back over here into the CRM, you can see that it's just finished populating here. So if I come into here and just click open script, you can see that if I actually open the script here and I go here to the actual opener, it just says something simple like, hey name, this is your name from company. This is a cold call. However, I'm not looking to waste your time. Do you have 30 seconds to chat, and I'll show you exactly how I can help you with accelerating enterprise pipeline and post-launch adoption for your November 15th AI-powered search insights platform. So what it's done is it's scraped LinkedIn over the past 90 days. It's taken the most relevant insight relative to the actual service that we offer, and it's gone ahead and plugged this into the opening line so that way when you go ahead and call the company or reach out to the prospect, you can reference some recent information that they've recently posted and are some important initiatives for that company. So when you actually get on the call, it's obvious that you've actually done your research, but this has all happened within literally the click of a button, and it's taken less than 20 seconds for this to generate as opposed to 20-30 minutes of digging through the LinkedIn, finding what's relevant for our company, and then reaching out with a personalized opener. What I'm going to do, because although this was decent, it wasn't the best example, so I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to generate one again, and I'll skip ahead to show you what this actually looks like once I enrich the lead. So I've just gone ahead and generated another script, and this is for the company AppZen. So if I come over to here and go ahead and open the script, let's have a look at what we have. So it says, do you have 30 seconds to chat? And I'll show you exactly how I can help you with converting your $180 million raise and NASDAQ visibility into qualified enterprise pipeline fast. So what this has essentially done is it's taken a look through the LinkedIn. It's found what's the most relevant insights based on their posts for the last 90 days. And then it's generated a personalized one-liner that we can actually use that obviously the person working at the company is going to be familiar with. You know, if they're going through a $180 million raise right now, that's going to be relevant information. Now, obviously you can customize this script even further or use your own script to build on this. But I'm just showing you what's possible using an automation and an AI system like this. So what we're actually using, if I go ahead and close all this out real quick, What we're actually using is we're using a B2B cold call script here, and we've just got a template here, and in these curly braces we've just got unique observation, and this is essentially the unique observation that ChatGPT is going to generate for us within the automation. So if I jump over to my automation software here, I'll show you how you can set this up within the Airtable CRM, or you might even be able to apply this to your own CRM. So the first step in the automation workflow here is just to set up some kind of custom webhook. Now all a webhook is just something that essentially listens for new data to come in, so that when we click the enrich lead button on our CRM here, that's actually going to trigger our webhook, and that's what's going to start the automation. So the way to actually set up a webhook is if you just come into here and type in webhook, and if you come into here and just say custom webhook, and then if you click into this, you'll be able to add in a new webhook and just give it a name you like. And what that will essentially be able to do, if I come back over to the webhook that I've actually created, is it'll actually give you a link down here that you can copy and paste. So what I've essentially done is I've come back into my Airtable, and on this actual button formula, I've come into here and just pasted the webhook, but I've also told it the exact records that I want it to generate when the webhook gets triggered. So when we actually click the enrich lead button, it gives us the record ID, it gives us the full name of the prospect, the email, the phone number, the company name, the website, and the LinkedIn. And these are basically all these variables along the top here. And what we can then do is once it gets triggered, all of this information about the prospect is then going to get populated into our AI workflow automation. So if I come back over to my make.com scenario here, you can see if I open up the payload here, you can see that as it's triggered, it's gone ahead and generated all these variables in here. And these are the variables that we're going to be able to use to plug that data into the next AI modules. Now, what I've gone ahead and done is this is just a super simple basic version, but I've actually set a few variables to give the AI context around our business, because when the AI goes ahead and conducts research into the company, we want it to find insights that are actually relevant to the services that we have. So for example, I'll show you how this works in just a second, but for the first variable here, the first one is just company industry. So we're actually telling the AI what industry we operate within, and we're also telling the type of services that they offer. So for this example, I've just said digital marketing as the industry that you're in, and we're also saying we're offering marketing services. And what that's going to do is when we plug this into the AI prompt and actually build the prompt out, we'll be able to plug these variables in to basically say, based on our industry and the type of services that we offer, here's what we actually want you to research. So the next step in the process is to actually go ahead and research the company's LinkedIn page. Now, the AI I'm going to be using for this is Perplexity AI, which is essentially an AI search engine crossed with a large language model. So it's basically a mix of ChatGPT and Google, but the way it works is it researches live information about the company and uses up-to-date information with citations, so you know what the actual source of the information is. That way we can conduct live research into a company based on today, as opposed to something like ChatGPT, which might not have the most up-to-date information. So if I go ahead and click into my Perplexity prompt here, I'll show you what that looks like. So just for the actual system prompt, you can give the AI different roles. So for the system prompt, it basically tells the AI the high-level overview of what it identifies as, whereas something like a user prompt, which is a lot more familiar within the actual ChatGPT interface where you're just typing in questions, that's the user prompt where you're actually telling it what you want from it. But essentially, just for the system prompt to tell it what the AI is going to do for us, I'm just saying you're a sales intelligence specialist, identifying commercial opportunity signals from LinkedIn activity to help a digital marketing company, which is the variable we made here, prepare for a highly relevant B2B call. And I've just said your goal is to surface situations, challenges, initiatives, or priorities where a company offering digital marketing services could credibly add value, even if the posts do not explicitly mention those services. And then for the actual user prompt here, I've just given it a task to say analyze the LinkedIn company page for the company here. And the way I've grabbed this variable is it's just the company name that we generated from this webhook, and I've gone ahead and dragged that into here. So I've just said analyze this company and extract valuable sales insights from their posts over the last 90 days from today. And I've just plugged in a now variable here, so it always knows the current date that it's at. So then I've gone ahead and plugged in the LinkedIn profile and just inserted this here. And I've said focus only on posts and updates from the company page over the last 90 days. And the core objective, identify signals that indicate a potential need, efficiency, risk, growth initiative, or strategic focus. So this is going to give you or your team context going into the cold call, where we can actually produce relevant insights of how we can help that company. And just a caveat here, I've said do not limit analysis to posts explicitly about our company type. So we don't just want to look for posts that are to do with digital marketing. We want to take more of a broader stance, because obviously different initiatives in their business could link back to what we do. We don't just want to generate posts about their marketing services or what they're doing within their marketing right now. And then in terms of the specific output that I've asked the Perplexity prompt to generate, what we're going to do is we're basically going to generate a JSON object, which is just structured data that we can then plug into the next ChatGPT module. That way it always outputs the exact same structure of data, and ChatGPT is going to be able to understand what each particular component means. So I've just plugged in the company name, the analysis date, which is obviously today, the analysis period, which is obviously over the last 90 days. And then here we have a section for the insights. So we want it to tell us an insight, so specific finding with numbers and details. We want it to tell us the actual source, so the LinkedIn post it actually generated that from, and it might be relevant to actually know how long ago that post was. Perhaps there was an initiative to grow the marketing team 60 days ago as opposed to 7 days ago. So this is essentially how Perplexity is going to output its answer. And if I come down into here, I've just given it some specific criteria of what to look for. So hiring announcements, company growth signals, new initiatives relative to our industry, pain points or challenges mentioned on the LinkedIn posts, quotes from their executives, events, webinars, etc. And this is going to give Perplexity a wide range to actually go into their LinkedIn and find relevant posts to these. And what's also important is to give it some kind of exclusion criteria and rules, just so it stays on track. So I've told it what to avoid here, and I've also given it some rules on the specific insights that it should generate for us. So they should be specific, they should be actionable, and where possible it should include numbers and dates, because when you're going onto a cold call, if you can actually reference the date something happened and provide specific numbers that show you've done your research, this is always going to give you a higher conversion rate and high likelihood of actually getting through to the pitch. And here's just some extra specific rules that you can take a look at and pause this video, but that's essentially how the Perplexity prompt works. So from that, it's essentially going to output this payload here. If I just open this up and go to the message and the content, you can see here it's included the company name, and it's included the structured data with all of the insights. So you can see here it's generated an insight of a major growth funding milestone, and it's also given us the source that it's from and the time frame of when it was posted. And you can see down here it's given us a few more insights. And what the next ChatGPT module is going to do is it's going to take multiple of these insights generated, find the most relevant one based on our actual industry, and then it's going to generate a one-line personalized intro message. So if I come out of this and go ahead and open the ChatGPT prompt, I'll run you through exactly what that looks like. Now this prompt, it took me like 30-40 attempts to actually make, because actually generating relevant insights that sound human-like and are actually relevant for that company, it's not an easy feat to achieve. But I'll show you the prompt, which is obviously a work in progress, but this is something that you can use to go ahead and generate personalized one-liners for your cold call scripts. So in terms of the system prompt, telling the AI what it identifies with, we've got down here you're a senior B2B sales strategist and cold call copy specialist. So it's going to use principles based off of that to actually generate the lines for us. And if we come down here into the user prompt, we've given the AI some context, which is always important. So we've told it we're in the digital marketing industry offering digital marketing services. You'll be provided with the JSON object, which is the output from our Perplexity AI. Based on insights about this specific company. And down here, I've just plugged in the actual message from the Perplexity prompt. So I've just come down here into choices. I've opened the message. I've grabbed this content. I've basically plugged it into there. And then down here, we have the actual task. So what is the AI actually going to do? So analyze the insights provided and select the single most commercially compelling insight that indicates a clear opportunity, inefficiency, or priority, naturally connects to our service type, and finally include specific details. So we always want to generate a specific insight, and we want to provide numbers and dates where possible. Because when going into a cold call, you always want to provide a decision maker with why is this relevant and why is this relevant right now. So you always want to lead with value and actually start with something that's relevant to them right now. And then if I go back into the prompt, if I scroll down here, I've just said after you identify which is the most compelling, then actually translate that into a specific observation suitable for a cold call opener. And in terms of the rules that I've given it, the observation should sound like a pattern you've noticed, a credible reason for reaching out now, like I said, and something that signals preparation. And then in terms of the output, output it once again in a JSON format so we can actually plug this into our Word document. And just for some important notes that I want the AI to follow, the output should cleanly plug into the following cold call opener without modification. So we can see here we've got a long line here. We want to essentially get this observation to flow from the actual initial intro, because what the AI will do if you don't give it a structure like this is it will just produce generic insights that don't actually flow with the rest of the copy. So it's important to give it context around what the rest of the script looks like so it can actually generate an insight that flows within the conversation. And just for some extra rules, we want it to be 12 to 18 words max. We don't want it to give us a long paragraph because obviously we've done all of this research here. The AIs like to ramble on. So I've just given it some rules to say we just want a quick, snappy insight. Don't pitch or talk about the company, just make the observation, and you should only ever focus on one thing. Do not suggest multiple things like I saw you did X and Y and Z. We want to give it one insight that's super specific. Now, like I said, this prompt, it took me a bunch of times to write, but using this, you're going to be able to generate a useful response 9 out of every 10 times. It's always good to have some kind of human in the loop. So although we're generating insights here that we can use for the cold call, we're always going to be able to go in and edit that based on our own style or perhaps some other insights that we have ourselves. So that's how the ChatGPT prompt works. In both of these modules, we're outputting it as a JSON object and just clicking yes on this option here. And if I go ahead and save that, what we're then going to do is we're going to plug that insight into our script template. And we're going to be using this template here, which is just a B2B cold calling script that I actually generated using Claude, which is another large language model. So if I come back into the make.com scenario here, what I've essentially done is I've copy and pasted the document ID. So this long link here between the D and the edit, I've just gone ahead and copy and pasted that into the actual document ID. So I've hard coded this so it's going to stay the same every single time. And then for the actual variable we're going to be changing, I've just plugged in the unique observation that we generated from here. And then how we're going to replace that is we're just going to output the result of this ChatGPT model. So every time we generate a unique observation, it's going to come into here and actually go ahead and change that and create a unique script for that prospect. Now, like I said, based on your own company and some personalizations and customizations that you want for your own script, obviously you can build on top of this, but this is just a general overview of how a system like this could work. And this is also something that I've used in the past to work for myself. So in terms of the title, I've just got the company name with the B2B cold call script, and I've gone ahead and saved that to a random drive. So once we've actually got that Google Doc generated, what we can then do is we can go and send that to our Airtable CRM or whatever CRM that you're using. So I've gone ahead and connected my Airtable in here. I've selected the table, I've selected the base. So that's just the example cold call CRM and the cold call list. And if I come back into here, what we've actually done is we've grabbed the record ID. Now the record ID is what's used in Airtable to actually identify the individual row. So what I've done is I've plugged in the record ID from this initial webhook here, which is this. And what we can come down here and do is we can plug in the link for the actual new sales script generated. And that's always going to be just a Google Doc share link with the actual document ID that we generated from here. So every time a new document gets generated, what this is going to do is it's going to edit the individual rows and plug in the sales script. So if I go back over to my CRM here, you can see here it's actually generated the link where the cold call script URL is. Now what I've actually done is I've actually added an extra button here. What we can do if we like is we can just hide this row. If I come down here and click hide field. And what it's essentially going to do is every time we click enrich lead, we can just have a super clean interface here where it just generates a script with a button next to it. And we can go ahead and open up the script and use this to go about cold calling the leads. So that's essentially how a system like this works. This is a very basic overview and skeleton of actually setting up a cold call SDR system like this. If you have any questions about how a system like this works or you want to implement it in your business, I've left a link below this video to actually go ahead and book in a call with me, and we'll be able to run through some details of how to actually implement it for your specific business and for your specific use case. But other than that, this is a super powerful system that you can use within your outbound function to actually improve your conversion rates on cold calls and improve the likelihood of actually getting through to decision makers.